Alright, what is up everybody? Jeremy Arams here and welcome back to the channel. Today we're diving deep into the world of cinematography with a masterclass on one of the most fundamental aspects of filmmaking, framing the shot. Before we jump in, make sure you smash that like button, subscribe to the channel for more awesome content and hit that notification bell so you won't miss any future uploads. Let's get started. We're kicking things off with the wide shot, also known as the long shot or establishing shot. This is your scene setter, your way of showing the audience where the heck they are and what kind of world we're diving into. Imagine this, you're watching a movie, and it opens with a sweeping shot of a bustling cityscape at sunset. Buildings towering into the sky, tiny cars zipping through the streets below. Instantly you get a sense of the scale and the vibe of the story that's about to unfold. That's the power of a wide shot, my friends. Think of it like this. If you were writing a story, the wide shot would be your opening paragraph, setting the stage for all the juicy details and character interactions to come. It's all about establishing context, giving your audience a lay of the land before we zoom in on the good stuff. Now, wide shots aren't just limited to sweeping landscapes or cityscapes. You can use them in all sorts of settings, a cozy living room, a crowded concert hall, even a dingy basement, if that's where your story takes you. The key here is to think about the information you want to convey. What's the mood you're going for? What elements in the scene are crucial for the audience to understand the story? Don't be afraid to experiment with different angles and compositions. Try shooting from a low angle to emphasize the grandeur of a tall building, or from a high angle to give a bird's eye perspective of a sprawling landscape. Remember, the wide shot is your opportunity to make a strong first impression and draw your viewers into the world you're creating. So, take your time, explore different options, and find the shot that perfectly sets the stage for your story. Alright, now that we've established our scene with a wide shot, let's move in a little closer and get to know our characters better with the medium shot. This is where the magic of storytelling really starts to happen. The medium shot is all about finding that sweet spot between the wide shot and the close-up. It's close enough to show the characters' emotions and interactions, but still gives us a bit of context and environment. Think of it like this. If the wide shot is the opening paragraph of your story, the medium shot is where you introduce your characters and give them a chance to start interacting with each other. The classic example of a medium shot is the cowboy shot, so named because it was frequently used in westerns to show the cowboys from the waist up, guns holstered and ready for action. But don't let that limit your creativity. You can use medium shots for all sorts of purposes, to show a conversation between two characters, to follow a character as they move through a scene, or even to highlight a specific object or detail that's important to the story. One of the great things about the medium shot is its versatility. You can use it to create a sense of intimacy and connection, or you can use it to build suspense and tension. It all depends on how you frame the shot and what you choose to focus on. For example, if you're shooting a conversation between two people, you might use a medium shot to show both characters in the frame, allowing the audience to read their body language and see how they react to each other. Or, if you want to create a sense of unease, you might use a medium shot to show a character alone in a dark room, their face half hidden in shadow. Get in there, get close. This is where we connect with the characters on a deeper level. The close-up is all about intimacy, about capturing those subtle nuances of expression that can make or break a scene. We're talking about those eye crinkles when someone smiles genuinely, the slight furrow of a brow that betrays a character's worry, a single tear rolling down a cheek. These are the details that make us feel something, that draw us into the story and make us care about what happens to these characters. Think of those iconic close-ups in your favorite films. The look of determination in a hero's eyes just before they face their biggest challenge, the heart-wrenching sorrow of a loved one saying goodbye, that split-second flicker of fear that sends shivers down your spine. These moments stay with us long after the credits roll, and it's the power of the close-up that makes them so impactful. Now, when it comes to close-ups, don't limit yourself to just faces. You can use close-ups to highlight any detail that helps tell the story. A hand tremblingly reaching for a doorknob, the inscription on a mysterious locket, a single drop of blood staining a pristine white shirt. It's all about finding those small, seemingly insignificant details and giving them the weight and significance they deserve. One of the most important things to remember with close-ups is to use them sparingly. Just like a sprinkle of salt can elevate a dish, a well-placed close-up can add flavor and depth to your story. Overdo it and you risk overwhelming your audience, diluting the impact of those powerful emotional moments. Let's talk composition, people. The rule of thirds is one of those fundamental guidelines that can instantly elevate your shots from May to Dang. That's a good-looking frame. Imagine this. You've got your camera, you're ready to capture the magic, but something feels off. Your subject is smack dab in the center and it just feels boring. That's where the rule of thirds swoops in to save the day. Here's the deal. Imagine a tic-tac-toe grid over your frame, 2 vertical lines, 2 horizontal lines dividing the screen into 9 equal sections. Now, instead of plopping your subject dead center, try positioning them along those lines or at the points where those lines intersect. It might feel a little weird at first, but trust me, this simple shift can make a world of difference. Suddenly, your composition feels more dynamic, more engaging, more visually interesting. The beauty of the rule of thirds is that it creates balance without being boring. It gives your subject room to breathe, allowing the viewer's eye to naturally flow through the frame and explore the scene. And here's a little secret. You can apply the rule of thirds to pretty much anything. Landscapes, portraits, still life, you name it. Imagine a stunning sunset over the ocean. Instead of centering the horizon, try positioning it along the top or bottom third of the frame, giving more weight to either the sky or the water, depending on what you want to emphasize, or picture a portrait of a musician holding their instrument. Instead of placing them dead center, try positioning them slightly off to one side, their gaze following one of those imaginary grid lines leading the viewer's eye through the frame. This is where things get really interesting. Leading lines are like those invisible arrows in your frame that subtly, or not so subtly, guide the viewer's eye exactly where you want it to go. They create depth, they create movement, and they can add a whole new layer of visual storytelling to your shots. Think of it like this. Imagine you're walking through a forest and you spot a path winding its way through the trees. Naturally, your eye follows that path, curious to see where it leads. That's the power of a leading line. Now, leading lines can be anything: roads, fences, rivers, railway tracks, even the lines of a building or the branches of a tree. If it draws the eye in a certain direction, it's fair game. The key is to be aware of these lines in your environment and use them to your advantage. For example, let's say you're shooting a scene in a city and you want to lead the viewer's eye toward a particular building in the distance. Look for leading lines that naturally converge towards that building. Streets, sidewalks, even the lines of the buildings themselves. By positioning your camera strategically, you can use these lines to create a sense of depth and draw the viewer's eye exactly where you want it to go. But leading lines aren't just for landscapes and cityscapes. You can use them in all sorts of creative ways, even in close-ups and portraits. Imagine a portrait of a writer sitting at their desk, a line of text on their typewriter leading the viewer's eye from the bottom of the frame up to the writer's face, highlighting the connection between the words and the creator. Or picture a close-up of a musician's hands playing a guitar, the strings acting as leading lines that draw the viewer's eye toward the musician's face, emphasizing the passion and emotion in their performance. All right, let's take things to the next level. Framing within a frame is one of those techniques that can instantly add depth, intrigue, and a touch of artistry to your shots. It's all about finding those natural or man-made frames within your scene and using them to enhance your composition and draw attention to your subject. Think of it like this. Imagine you're looking at a painting in a museum. The frame around the painting isn't just there to hold the canvas. It's also there to enhance the artwork, to draw your eye toward the center and create a sense of depth and focus. That's essentially what we're doing with framing within a frame in filmmaking. Now, frames within frames can be anything: doorways, windows, arches, tree branches, even the silhouette of a person in the foreground. The key is to look for elements that create a natural border around your subject, framing them within the scene. For example, let's say you're shooting a scene in a grand library, and you want to highlight a character lost in thought among the towering bookshelves. Instead of just shooting them straight on, try positioning your camera so that the character is framed by the bookshelves on either side, creating a sense of depth and emphasizing their isolation among the endless rows of books. Or imagine you're shooting a romantic scene between two lovers at a park. Instead of just framing them against the vast open space, try positioning your camera so that they're framed by the branches of a willow tree, creating a sense of intimacy and seclusion within the bustling park. The beauty of framing within a frame is that it adds a layer of visual interest without being distracting. It's a subtle way to enhance your composition and guide the viewer's eye exactly where you want it to go. And there you have it, the ultimate guide to framing the shot. Remember, these are just a few of the many tools and techniques at your disposal. The real magic happens when you start experimenting, breaking the rules, and developing your own unique style. Okay, let's go again from that last angle, but this time, try pushing in a little closer, just slightly to the left. Remember, use those leading lines to draw the viewer's eye towards the subject. Good, that's it. Looking great. Don't be afraid to try new things, to experiment with different compositions and angles, and to see what works best for you and your story. The most important thing is to have fun and to keep creating.